Mental trash is a reality on the internet. That is the title of Michael Nelson's Thursday night video. Good evening, everybody. I heard this term, I don't know, within the last few months. People started talking on YouTube about mental trash. I never thought about it that way, but it's the truth. I just perused a couple of lives and I'm like, you know what? I'm not tooting my horn at all. There's a lot of lives that are just trash. Saw a girl on there, white girl, America hat on, a sweater, like there's tattoos on her belly, a voice that you don't want to listen to on a regular basis. Young. Oh, I love Chicago. It's like so trashy. And she is yucky. And I just typed, this is definitely, or this is an example of mental trash. And I typed it, sent it, and left. She was commenting on everybody. And everybody's staring at her because her midriff is showing. Hey, how are you, Josh? And I'm all right. How are you? Got off work, making some dinner. Just the usual mac and cheese, tuna with steamed vegetables. How do we get to a point where mental trash is so appealing? You know, and you look at a lot of live videos and it's just crazy. People were always shocked. I put myself out there the way I do, and I said, at least my stuff is genuine. At least people could benefit from it. But some of this stuff, people will entertain themselves for hours on this crap. And what are you getting out of it? You know, it's like if you spend your life eating cotton candy, you're going to get tooth decay. You spend your life watching mental trash videos, you're going to get mind rot, cerebral rot, without a doubt. And no, I'm not jealous of other people's channels. Not at all. I have come to terms with the reality that in this world, the world is going to love its own, and the world is going to love what is not of God, and that's going to be more popular, more prevalent than this. There's a lot of people that don't want to listen to real stuff. There's a lot of people that want to listen to somebody being genuinely honest because it is too close to home. But it's not even that. I've always talked about people that are pretenders. You know, a lot of people my age and not too far under me are good at playing plastic. But you've got a younger generation, they don't even try. They just are raw and rude and uncouth, and they think they're so important. It's really sobering. Absolutely sobering. People that get on the internet with no content and they got tons of followers, people watching, tuning in. Why? Well, I get asked the same thing about TV personalities. You look at people that are showing a lot of hatred and they're liberal. Oprah Winfrey's case in point. She ran a TV show. She's not an expert at anything. She ran a TV show, basically a talk show. You know, no offense, bored housewives that got nothing better to do than to tune into Oprah, whose husband's made good money, which is where most of Oprah's money came from, is bored housewives that got the pom-pom lifestyle. And she has the nerve to say that whites are privileged. She's a billionaire. She's a black billionaire. owns 8 or 9 mansions? How many people do you know personally that are white that own 8 or 9 mansions? Anybody want to raise your hand? Thank you, Punky. Hello, Mimi. How are you? Oh, I don't give my sleeping hours, Dennis. That's too personal. I just wake up early and go to bed early. I get 5 to 6 hours of sleep and I'm good. I'm glad God made me that way. People that sleep all day, man, not good. And I'm going to say something because a lot of the people that I'm talking about on the lives are godless people. And there is a direct correlation between a person having God in their life and a person not having God in their life. The Democrats claim that they're intellectual and they're educated. Into what? A secular education system that denies God? You get a degree to play the game. You get a degree to play the game. That gives you good paying jobs. It doesn't mean you are smart. You can know a body of information that is useful for the task at hand at your employment, but it doesn't mean you're smart. The Bible says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. God is the author of wisdom. Wisdom starts with God. And this is what I believe. It does not start with college. College will give you knowledge, but that knowledge is skewed depending on who is dispensing it. Textbooks are written by people that are biased, slanted. Science has been severely impacted by atheists. And atheists have inserted within science things that are not true, that take more faith to believe than it does to believe that God created the world as he stated in Genesis. I started to watch a video on my lunch hour about some dive team went down to confirm, and they have found, they said, about 20,000 chariot wheels down underneath the Gulf of Aqaba. And I was just talking about that last night, or the other day, about the Bible map showing the Sinai Peninsula. You know, here's the Red Sea, here's the Gulf of Aqaba. And they showed the Israelites crossing literally from Egypt, the Bitter Lakes, and said possible Red Sea. No, they went down into that triangle and they were hemmed in. Did you know that that sea down there is up to 5,000 feet deep? I didn't know that. 5,000 feet. I gotta watch that video again. I didn't know it was that deep in that section. And it's interesting because it says in the Bible, the mighty waters, when Moses sang the song of deliverance. Folks, modern school teaches the Bible as a fairy tale. They laugh at it. They like to pride themselves that, Michael, we believe in science. We don't believe in fairy tales. I believe in science too, and I don't believe in fairy tales, but evolution is a fairy tale. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just thinking about simple thing, just the eyeball. You know, and as a CDL driver, you have to have depth perception, but we all have depth perception. It's when you can look in your rearview mirror and you got a 40-foot school bus or you got a truck and you can tell where the back end is and how close or far it is from something. And I started thinking about God built within your eyes depth perception. You take that for granted. Can you imagine if the depth perception in your eyes was not working? The wall could be right here, and you think it's way out there, and you'll bam right into it. You think about how the lens, I'm not going to get the term straight because I don't study all the finer points of optometry, but the lens, moves in and out, your pupils dilate, and, to allow light, when they're darker, they get wider. It's really interesting to watch a cat's eye. When it gets lighter, your eyes, they don't open as wide, and it's to protect your eyes from all that light. I think about, a man having testicles to produce semen, to have an egg to inject into a woman, and it hits the ovaries, the eggs, whatever. I mean, think about that. The faith it takes to believe that that all happened by random accident is foolishness. And the Bible says about the atheist, the fool said in his heart, there is no God. That's not something I'm making up. Evolution is a total fairy tale. Hello, Blue Dust. Hello, Kevin. Hello, fish nipples. Fish. What are fish nipples? Hey, Mr. E-Rock, I'm good. How are you? And welcome. The day went well and fast. It was busier, and the guy that works with me didn't show up, and that was actually perfect because the gal I'm training, she had to keep busy today. So we got everything done, and I told her, I said, I'm proud of you. You pulled parts, you did good. And I had prayed today. I said, God, I need you to help me with this woman because yesterday was not so cool. Today was 100% better. And I've got to tell myself, you hem and haw over stuff, give it to God. Give it to God. Hello, Doggy. Hello, Samuel. And I want to remind my regular viewers, some of the questions that some people, not all my viewers do this, some of my viewers actually have discernment and tact, but I got a problem when people are asking people extremely personal questions like, well, if you don't work, how do you pay for your food? How about none of your damn business? Asking one of my female moderators that. Why are grown men asking women that? You don't need to know. There's reasons, extenuating circumstances. How do you know somebody didn't get an inheritance? How do you know somebody doesn't have a disability? How do you know somebody didn't suffer some things and win a big settlement? How do you know? You don't. And somebody told me they were very uncomfortable, and I said, all you need to do is say, that is personal. Don't ask me questions like that. This is chat. And some of the questions that some of the men that come in here asking some of these women are crossing lines. If you're dating somebody or you're close to somebody, that's another thing. But in chat, people want to know details about me, and I'll say, no. How's your son? Where's your son live? What does your son do? None of your business. You got trolls, people, and they are working 24/7 to cause problems. Some things, you play your cards close to your chest. And I'm going to tell people that. People want to know exactly where I live. And no offense, Dennis, asking when my sleeping hours are. No. We don't give the enemy ammo. We don't do that. That's, I'm not saying you're the enemy, Dennis, but we don't I have to remind people some questions you need to put a check in your spirit and say, should I be asking this on a public forum? I'm real, I'm genuine, but I've had to learn the hard way. You know, it's like you guys all want to know my underwear and sock size too, shoe size. You gonna go ask a woman her bra size? I mean, where do you draw the line on this, man? We can talk about God, we can talk about things, but some questions are too personal. They're too detailed. Hey, D. Michelle, long time no see. How are you? No, and you're not offending me, Dennis. You're not. That's why I say it. And I've started an experiment with this channel. I'm doing it. Sometimes I may not always mention names, but sometimes I'll mention just to answer something, and sometimes I'll call people out without mentioning their names. Somebody had written something in here, and I thought, wait a minute, that person wrote this, but the other day she said this, and I said, wait a minute, didn't I hear somebody? And I didn't even mention names, and that person ended up outing themselves. I said, well, I'm glad you explained that. You know, we need to do that. I don't, this YouTube is a different channel. We've got a community here, a real one, because we've got real dyed-in-the-wool regulars, which is awesome. But I think because we're a community, we need to grow. We need to challenge each other and ourselves. And no harm, Dennis, none at all. I just sometimes, and you're not, I understand where you're coming from, Dennis. I'm talking, some people get on here and ask ridiculously personal questions. And people have got to have some sense of, in their own mind, that, you know what, that's probably not something I should ask him. You know, this world is crazy, unfortunately. And I love to be honest. If people want to ask me, how much did you sell your trunk for? Man, why am I going to tell people that? Why? I mean, you got enemies out there. You got people, they don't need to know that stuff. You know, that's like asking somebody how much they make an hour. If I volunteer that, that's my prerogative, but nobody should ask that. Absolutely, Mr. Erock. That's right, Blue Dust. Blue Dust, how big in diameter are the areolas on your breasts? I mean, that'd be like me asking that. I mean, I'm being facetious, but I would not ask somebody that. I remember when I was in a steam bath. I got to share this. This is a real experience. Steam bath in Colorado. They had a sauna, steam room, and a hot tub. I called it the lobster pot because it really was. It was hot in there, and I love that. I like, especially in the winter with all the heat or the cold and the snow outside in Colorado, I love to go in there on a Saturday and just sit in there and as hot as I can stand it and get the buckets of cold water under the faucets and dump it on me. It's very good for the pores. And a guy, an older gentleman, would say hello and talk to me, and he'd sit in there. I noticed that you don't have any pubic hair under your arms. And I'm just like, who looks at that in men? And he wanted to have a discussion about pubic hair. And I said, sir, I don't talk about pubic hair. That's not one of my topical conversations, okay? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Some people are just strange. Some people are just strange. What size shoes do you wear, doggy? Oh, here we go. Now we're going to have the jokes. I love it. Menda, we talk about a lot of things. topics and politics and God, faith, sexuality, relationships, my personal life and what I've been through. But I still think about that. Why is the guy asking me about my pubic hair? Then I looked at him, I said, yes, I shave my underarms. Why do you do that? Because I like to look better. How much conversation can you get out of this? And why are you asking me that? Strange. I don't ask a woman, why do you grow hair under your arms? I don't like it. So I'm not even going to ask somebody out who's got all that going on. You want to live like an Amazon woman? Hey, be my guest. Not my cup of tea. People are strange when you're a stranger. No problem, Mr. Ewok. Yes, Chance, absolutely. Actually, I was taught, Blue Dust, in biology back in the day that pubic hair is under the arms and down there. Everybody, sometimes I see a lot of people as a floppy disk from an old 1980s computer. It was great back in the day, but it don't work today. We got something called Windows. Now we got Apple. And Androids. Facial hair is not pubic hair. It's under the arms and it's down there between your legs. Wow, do we need to have a sexual education class this evening? Hello, Samurai. My first desktop was a Packard Bell. Or no, was it Packard Bell or Hewlett? I can't even remember. That was a long time ago. I have a question. Why do Christians on any level involve themselves with Halloween? That doesn't make sense to me. Trick-or-treating, saying Happy Halloween, wearing jack-o'-lantern and ghosty shirts. Why? Has anybody looked that up and done some research in it? It's not good. I don't know, Colette. I was taught in sex ed in middle school that it's boys and girls start developing pubic hair under the arms and down on their privates. That's the way it was always taught to me. But, for the record, I had just said, why would a man ask me about pubic hair? I want to talk about pubic hair. Everybody's talking about pubic hair. Will somebody in the room please get on Google and what areas of the body does pubic hair grow? Type that in for me. Tell me what it says. I'll pull a Charlie Kirk. Prove me wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Look it up, Blue Dust. Look it up on Google. Because I find it interesting on boys and girls, it comes out right when their sexuality is developing, which is under the word puberty. Why is it we don't grow hair under our arms right away? That's very interesting. How old am I? 59. Mr. E-Rock, look that up for me, will you? I'm curious what you find. I study the human body on women all the time, but, you know. Axillary, yeah. Now we're getting somewhere. Thank you, Alexander. Well, then my teacher was wrong. Mrs. Smith told us that. I'll go find all those kids from Mammoth and we'll do a class action lawsuit against the school. Okay, thank you, Mr. E-Rock. So, I did not know, because based on what I was told in sex ed, that always stuck with me. But that man did ask me why I don't have pubic hair under my arms. So quite a few people were led to believe that as well. Colette, I know that. I talk about that all the time on here. Most of the educational system today is not right at all. I don't know, Shammai, what are we doing in this live? Whoops. Almost canceled the stream. But, thank you, doggy. Samurai, go watch all my videos. There's what? Over 1,200. We talk about a lot of things. Sometimes we let chat have fun. Sometimes I go topical. And the title of this video was Mental Trash is a Reality. And it exists. People spend hours poring over Facebook. 99% of it is just crap. And I noticed that they're making videos with AI showing sharks swimming up the street in flooded areas of Jamaica. And everybody on there said, this is clearly AI. And why are people doing this with all the suffering? And I agree. AI is funny when it showed one of my channel viewers riding a pig down the street with the Phantom of the Opera chasing her. And I did a collab with that because I thought it was funny. AI is cool for stuff like that. But when it takes my voice and makes a video where it uses my voice to say things I've never said, and he did that to Billy Graham, they're doing it all over the internet, trying to discredit people. AI is also programmed by people that have a bias that is not in favor of the Bible. It was getting frizzy. It was getting tangled. Gentleman came in to inspect the fire sprinklers. He had the same color hair as mine. His was long. I said, dude, 2 months ago I had hair long like that. I said, I have a problem. He goes, I never use a comb. He said, I just use a brush. I said, really? He goes, yeah. When you got long hair, don't use the comb. I use the wide tooth, not the fine ones. It's going to take about 3 years, King. I wish it wasn't that long. Sad thing is, I wish I could do it like a chia. Chia. Just water it and it grows. Colette, I've done that. Everybody's hair is different. My hair is very coarse. It is very thick. And I've tried a variety of products. You have to understand, Colette, the humidity in Georgia is top of the charts. I would have to say the summers here are worse than in the Philippines. I did just fine in the Philippines. But it's very humid. It's sweltering here. And it's sweltering in Hong Kong. And now we're down in the 60s. Saw a video on my break. Man in Jamaica walking through his house, and there's mud and water that deep in the house, and he pointed and he said, this is where it was. I mean, literally above his head, the water line. The amount of rain that fell eroded canyons in the roadways. There were landslides and boulders that came down. They showed a beautiful church building, the whole roof ripped off. The devastation, it was a category 5. Now, I don't know what is the truth, but one report says sustained 185 mile an hour winds. We had 106 here at Helene. I did not even hear this old house creak. It never does anyway. But when I went on that porch, it was going shh. I'm like, wow. And we got 12 inches of rain the day before, rain during the hurricane. Then as it slid north to North Carolina, it dropped something like 31 inches of rain. All those cute little communities that live on these little creeks, those creeks became raging rivers that literally washed the town and houses out. It's crazy. We hit just the edge of Category 2 here. Jamaica's an island with no protection. They showed a video where this guy was behind the hill, showed the roof line of houses, and the ocean waves coming up so high. I was like, wow. Crazy. Have a good one, Samurai. Thanks for coming. Yeah, this place is 73. Starting to feel like fall here finally. Some trees lose their leaves, some don't until January. Yep, good old Georgia. So, this morning, people in the chat were telling me they're boarding up the windows in Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati. People are threatening to riot, to kill white people, to steal, loot because of the canceling of EBT cards. I don't think I even need to say that these people are morons that think it's okay to do that. To think that they are entitled to get all that, and when it's cut, they're going to make everybody else pay for it by acting like toddlers. Must have been hungry. Now, I watched something, Mystery Rock. The Democrats are even starting to get mad at Schumer over the shutdown. You can only blame Trump so much. We don't owe the illegals Medicaid, Medicare, nothing. Why would any Democrat think that that's okay? We got a nation trillions of dollars in debt. Man, I'll tell you what. Schumer's an example of mental trash. If you can't look at where this nation's at, why are we giving people that are not citizens of this country any kind of benefit? Man, that torques me to no end. You need to be a citizen of this country. We need to help our people first. Not the freeloaders. Not the ones screaming that whites are racist, getting free handouts, and talking smack about us. Hey, Selena. Really, Alexander, thanks for your honesty. That's cool. Colette, they have in Arizona, they have a century plant. It blooms once every 100 years. That's right, Ever. I don't even know what Project 2025. I've heard that thrown around so much. I don't even know what it is. They accuse Trump of being behind all that. America, the only way we're going to become a great country is number one, by eradicating the Democratic Party. They are dangerous to the Constitution. They're dangerous to Bible believing Christians. They're dangerous to sanity. And they are the reason there's so much mental trash from the U.S. being put on social media. I was really thankful today. Mystery Rock, you'd be proud of me. I was polite. I was friendly. I said, morning. And today I was a lot less personal. I got the pig tickets. I said, I'm going to have you do these. Go ahead and pull these parts. Go ahead and box them up. Get them ready for shipping. I'm going to go and take care of this. Sometimes I'd say, come to me. We need to go to Warehouse G. And we're going to go look for these. And it went well. This younger generation is a trip. They don't think like we do. She'd stop and she'd lean against a bin and would do angle push-ups. I said, what are you doing? She goes, well, I'm caught up. I thought it'd be better if I'm working out instead of being on my phone. What she doesn't realize, and I didn't tell her, another employee was talking about it, they will have you come into the office the first time. The second time they catch you, they let you go. Hello, Bobby. How are you? And welcome. The Pohutukawa. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Colette. That's a hard one. It was good, Bobby. Thank you. And I'm glad you're good. Yeah, but it's different, Blue Dust. This generation is very obtuse. Not all, but most. They're entitled. If they show up late, they don't care. Just since I've been in my job, people just call out, show up late, grown men that don't have a car or truck. I'm like, really? But they could sure put the alcohol down and got the cigarettes and everything else. I stopped and I thanked God. I even messaged Bob and I messaged D-Rock both. And I said, I thank God that He gave me a sound mind and helped me to be disciplined to go to work, even when I don't feel like it. Save, be prudent in my spending. That most people can't even do that today. People say you're rich. No, I'm not. I just be smart. I just be smart. And the biggest key is God can take your little and bless it. I've seen Him do it with me. He can and will bless it. You do the duty and you do the discipline of getting up and dragging your carcass to work. He will make your little go a long way. Yeah, but I wasn't listening to music. I didn't listen to bands that were singing about a penis. I didn't listen to bands that were singing about my wet blank Pussy. There is a big difference. There's a big difference, ladies. You can't compare our generation to today's. What's the rodeo song? No, she wasn't doing that for me. I was trying to tell her, don't get caught doing that because management doesn't want you doing that. I am not her boss or her supervisor. But I praised her today. I said, you did good. Thank you for helping me. The other guy wasn't here. We got it all done. She goes, really? I said, yeah. When we got all the orders pulled and we've boxed up everything, we've done our stuff. She goes, oh, so I can F around for 20 minutes. I said, no, you can do that on your break. I said, we go take out the trash. I said, we can go find parts. We're going to identify the parts. We're going to look up parts in the parts thing, or we can look up in quantum and we can figure out what's what, print up a label, find out where it is, and let so-and-so know that we're putting it up in this ProMade, and that's where it goes. She's young. I don't know. When I went to work, I did what I was told. I didn't have any of that. You didn't stand around, you worked. I don't know what the Maui was. Man, my parents were listening to it, man. Elvis Presley was rock. My mother listened to Grateful Dead. I never got into them. I didn't even know she liked it until long after I'd moved on. No, Colette, now we just got women hating men and being lesbian and acting like trying to be men. No, it's different. It's different. Yeah, she's learning and she's good at it. And I told her today, I said, you need to be busy. And she goes, yeah, I do. And I said, I see that. And I said, and today is an example. We weren't floored today, but it was busy. I said, if you weren't here, I would have got it done, but it would have taken me the entire rest of the day. And I said, the reason you have any downtime at all is because we both worked on it and got it done. CCR and Sticks loved them. Hello, Erica. How are you? What's a rerun, Blue Dust? What's the context of the question? Today the sun was out, and at lunch it got cloudy and the wind started storming out of the west. I have no idea what Blue Dust is talking about. See ya! I don't know what Blue Dust is going on about. She does that on occasion. Yeah, Colette, I like her as a person, but I also, the caution lights come on. Really, what's the temperature up there, Bobby? Cheryl said it was what, 38 or 32 or something in Maine this morning. Hey, Chelsea, how are you? We were talking about mental trash, and I deviate and rabbit trail a lot, which makes the video stream interesting. We all can be guilty. I mean, I've spent time looking at memes and laughing at them, and not that that's bad. But how many of us actually read and research stuff? How many of us actually, I do read. Sometimes my channel pulls on me more, but I will stop sometimes and not do a video and take some time to read. Oh, I love potato salad, Chelsea. I love a good potato salad. That is good stuff. That's what I call good hearty food. $44. Upstate New York. I've never been in New York. I've never been up to New England. Really, the only part of the country I have not been up to. I've covered the entire South. Everything but Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, D.C., Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. What am I missing? Jersey. I've covered every state west of the Mississippi except South Dakota. I've flown over Alaska, but I've never driven to Alaska or been there. I flew to Hawaii on the way back from the Philippines in 2018 and was in Honolulu for 2 hours at the airport. So I can say I've been there, but did not experience it. I even landed on Guam for 2 hours. That is a strange name to me. Guam sounds like something gross that you would spit on the ground. Guam is 38 miles long. I looked at living there in 2018 because it was 4 hours flight from the Philippines. Guam is, I don't need a visa. I could just go there as a U.S. citizen. Really, Bobby? That's cool. That is awesome. I would love to see upstate. There's some cool little towns like Lake Placid, Cooper's Lake. I was looking at pictures. Some of those towns are very pretty. You know, Black Hills and Sturgis are very picturesque. Most of South Dakota, especially out east, is more like Iowa, Minnesota, you know, without the forest. But yeah, the Black Hills are supposed to be awesome. Oh, now that'd be cool. The St. Lawrence River interests me because it comes out of the Great Lakes. And the Empress of Ireland sank on it in 1914. It was an ocean liner that most people have never heard of because the Titanic kind of edges everything out. But over 1,000 people died on that. It's hit in a fog and it sank very quickly in the river at night. Oh yeah, sweet potatoes are good. Saranac Lake area is beautiful. Thank you, Deuce Time. Deuce Time, I appreciate that. Thank you and welcome and thanks for coming. I think some names are interesting. Schenectady, New York, and Poughkeepsie, Maine. Bobby, let me get my atlas. I gotta see where you're at. I always like to look up stuff the old school way. There's a place in France where the naked ladies dance. And the men don't care. Blue dust is not my cup of worms. Start spreading the news. 'Cause it's New York, I'd rather be New York, New York. All right, help me out, Bobby. Where did you say you are? Hewelton. I've never heard of that. There's a lot of little towns. What town are you in, Bobby? Messina. What is that? Oh, that's Lake Ontario. Good old Buffalo. Buffalo's on Erie. You know, you would think I'd know this, having lived in Duluth, but I did not know Lake Erie's actually, which way is the falls? Is the water going from Lake Erie into Ontario? It must be. Yeah, it's going to feed into Ontario. That's interesting. Very interesting. Cornwall, Canada. I see it. What's the name of the town? The only pizza we would get. Messina. Oh, I see it. Is it forested up there? Are you in the trees? Wow, you're way up there. That's awesome. Look at this. I did not realize Adirondack Park is so huge. Is all that a state park? Ballstone Spa. Schenectady's right by Albany. That's cool, Mystery Rock. That is huge. I never even realized that. And they got the Catskills. So weird. When I always looked at states, I tried to figure out what do they look like. State of New York, in a strange way, looks like a transmission with the bell housing. Can you see that, E-Rock? The outline of New York State reminds me of a transmission. The Adirondacks are beautiful. I know that. I have never been up there. Untouched by Michael. I didn't realize Rochester was right on Lake Ontario. That blows me away that Buffalo gets all that Lake Erie blast of snow. But does that happen in Rochester like that? That's cool. That's awesome. That'd be a road trip, man, but it would be fun to see you and see a place like that. I would love to see the St. Lawrence. Stand on that. And I'd grab a few more states on the way up. What would be the fastest way from here? I'd have to go up right up A7. What is that? 95. Let's see. Actually, I could avoid 95 altogether. Take 20 up to Columbia, hit it, what is it, 77? No, what? Yeah, 77 to 81. Take 81 all the way up. Shoot, you could take 81 way up into New York. That might be a ride because you avoid a lot of the crummy places that you don't want to stay the night. I need to look that up. What is different about the pizza mystery, Rock? You got me curious. I can't eat pizza because of my allergies. What is about the pizza that makes it so awesome? Yeah, you would take 81 up. That'd take you right to Syracuse. It'd be almost hugging Ontario for a distance. Have to turn off, wow. Turn off on 11. Go to 56 and take it right to my, hey, that'd be pretty easy directions. $50. Hello, Jesse. What did you say, 81? No, I don't see it. Hold on. No, 81 isn't because I'm looking at the Atlas. 90 is. The 80-90, because I took that, well, it turns into 90 in New York, and it's all toll because it's all in green. But 81 is blue all the way up. It dead ends at the St. Lawrence River, and then it goes over to Canada and picks up on, what is it, 32? What a trip. That sounds good. Jesse, what's going on? Alexander, I thought about driving a truck many years ago, and I never wanted to do it. I have a Class B, and I've driven trucks, bobtail without trailers for a couple semi-truck dealerships over the years, but yeah, I wouldn't want to go over the road. I'm older now. You get tired. I don't want to drive at night. Yeah, Jesse, home's a good place to be. I do, doggy. I've always loved road atlases. Sometimes I look at them. I don't use GPS. I don't use it at all. The only thing I would ask is if I go to see somebody once I get off the main roads, how do I get to you once I get to your town? I love a rainy night. That was a great song by Eddie Rabbitt. Yes, Jesse, it's so much fun. Thank you, Bobby, and thank you for coming. I appreciate that. Little House on the Prairie was a great show. That's awesome. When TV was still good. I've had it before I realized I was allergic to wheat flour, Colette. Wow, Alexander, that's crazy. And Bobby, have a good evening. That's awesome to meet people from little communities far up there in the north. That's really cool. I will always be a northerner at heart. Always. I loved Duluth back in the day. I wouldn't live there now with all the leftist politics, but I love the Northwoods and the North. There's some things that are better than the South, and then there's some things in the South that are better than the North. I've gotten to taste many cultures. Man, I remember when I was a kid, we had Shakey's Pizza in Mammoth, and we thought that was the bomb. Big old thick slabs of pizza with pepperoni all over it. I don't even know if they have a Shakey's Pizza anymore. The school buses that we got before I left Denver, I was doing the mountain runs, and when you'd accelerate to go up a mountain grade, the accelerator kicks off, and you hear this little beep, 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 and it's saying, it's acting like you're going too fast when you're turning into a curve. Man, I'm going uphill. I'm not going at 60. And I told one of the lead drivers, and he goes, "Oh, I hate that." He said they put all these safeties. I said, that's so stupid. You got to accelerate going up and into the curve or you lose power. You did nothing wrong, E-Rock. That's awesome. E-Rock, I love the beauty up there. I know I would. I just don't like the politics. Colette, and you got an easy place to get around. New Zealand would be easy compared to the big old USA. I love me an old Atlas. It works. Now, Hong Kong, when I lived there, oh my gosh. Woo! That was a trip. Yeah. Hey, do me a favor, E-Rock. Find out how many miles it is from Augusta, Georgia to Messina, New York. That would be one heck of a drive from south to north. It's got to be over 1,000 miles, easily. Maybe not. That'd be so awesome. That would be awesome. Stop and get all them dang salty foods all the way up. Messina, if I'm saying it right, where Bobby lives. So I have no interest in exploring the West. That's what I knew. And I don't feel like going overseas and paying buku bucks for airplanes. I knew it had to be 1,000. But that'd be an easy 2-day drive. I'd have to at least put in a night somewhere. And it would not be anywhere near a major city. No thanks. I stay out of that stuff. So if you hit get up to Columbia and hit 77 and slide into 81. Halfway up, my gosh, on a good day's drive, maybe somewhere around Winchester, Virginia. That's a ride too. 15 hours. Do you really? Now see, I used to do those, Mr. E-Rock. I probably could. I'm not a fan of driving at night, but the interstate, my thing is if there's lots of deer, no. When I was traveling across the country and I got into eastern Oklahoma, somebody at the diner said, be careful. When I got up early, they said, watch for the deer, they're thick. So I sat around in the restaurant and waited till a little bit of light before I started out. What is RDS? Yeah, meet me in Albany. Albany. I have no desire to go to New York City at all. And I know you didn't say that. Albany, New York. Shoot, I could say I've covered New England. That would be cool. Where's Albany? Oh, Albany's over on the east. Saratoga Springs. Now, Lake Champlain would be fun to see in Burlington, Vermont. That's cool. You're 90 miles from Albany. Where are you? I thought you said you were in Massachusetts. Oh, yeah. Okay. I always get those states mixed up. That is weird how New York did their districting when they put their state lines in. Doggy in New York. What'd you say? Westfield, Massachusetts. Taxachusetts. Some of the highest taxes in the country. Man, where is Bridgebend? Westfield. Oh, I see it. You're west of Springfield. Chicopee. Oh, vomit. She wouldn't like me at all. I don't know any of those liberals in power that would like Michael. They'd be the kind of people, if I was their neighbor, they would find some way to get me in trouble, even though I don't do anything, especially if they heard my beliefs. Well, folks, I'm actually going to turn in, but thanks for coming. And everybody have an awesome evening. I don't really come on the evening because I'm tired, but thought I'd make a debut. Didn't have much to say on mental trash because there's nothing to talk about. There's so much mindless stuff out there. And I, now that I have a job, I'm feeling like, you know what? Be productive. It's okay to rest. It's okay to decompress, but we got to somehow get ourselves to not, do something with purpose. Do something with purpose. All right, and thank you. Yeah, politicians in the Democrat left, they don't care about the working class folks in America. They talk a lot of crap, but that's another video, folks. Till next time, be safe. Sweet dreams.